Welcome to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast, brought to you by the Draft Professor. The Draft Professor is a group of podcasters bringing you daily draft podcasts and is home to the only dynamic mock draft simulator which allows fans to mock draft against other fans. The Draft Professor Simulator features a first-round challenge, 5 unique one-round drafts. The Draft Professor Simulator features a second-round challenge, 10 unique two-round drafts. All mock drafts are always picking against the fans and draft analysts which use the simulator. Every mock, every pick, every time. The Draft Professor also features ranked players functionality, where you can rank your favorite players at every position. Optionally, you can add tiers to your rankings to show what round you have the players graded in. The Draft Professor also features Draft a Team functionality, which allows users to snake draft a team of 22 players to demonstrate your my guys, compare player strengths, and discuss draft prospects in a way no other mock draft simulator can. Thank you for tuning in to the Mrs. R Relevant Daily Draft Podcast. This episode will begin shortly. Well, welcome to Friday evening, everybody. Anthony and I are going to go through some first-round challenges for every team, and I'll be showing off a little bit about how the simulator works if you haven't seen it before. But before we get in, Anthony, it's Friday. It's the end of my day job week. Is this the end of your week too?
It is. It was a long week. It usually is, but always happy to spend a Friday night with you, talking draft. We're only like 20 something days out now, so now's the time to hunker down and really start figuring out what's going to happen here.
Yeah, and I think one of the advantages of, let's say, doing mock drafts and getting, let's say we have a feel for how players are graded. It gives us kind of a better chance, in my opinion, to reset some portions of the interactive simulator. So we're going to go through and do what's known as a first round challenge for every team. And I'm also going to show off some of how the functionality works, or let's say how I might use it, and then you can abuse it. So I am going to border on mock draft abuse. And I'll show you what I mean in a minute. So we're going to do a first round challenge for the Titans. And my opinion is that Cam Ward goes number 1 overall. Any dissenting opinion there, Anthony?
No, I mean, I think the only other option probably is Abdul Carter, but I'm with you. I think Cam Ward's the guy at this point.
So one of the things that I look at is like, okay, who are the top 8 players available? Because the simulator algorithm will randomly pick players in the top 8. So a first round challenge is 5 unique one-round drafts. So I'm going to do Cam Ward on the first one, but I'm not going to worry about any of the other 8. I liked who they were, but there's a couple players on the simulator that are ranked a little low, like Jalen Noel should not be player 176. So I'm going to take him in round 1. And what that's going to do is he's probably going to move up to about a 3rd round spot on the Titans board. So if you take somebody in round 1 once, they don't jump up to the top of the board. Another player I wanted to check is Matthew Golden. You can see he's 187, so I'm going to pick him. We're not going to do this for every team, but we're going to do this specifically for the Titans because I know when I've done some Titans mock drafts, I was like, oh, wow. Some of the players were relatively low. Okay, so Trey Amos is already pretty close to where they were picking in round 2. Let's see what Hairston is. Hairston's already there. And let's see. other wide receivers that might be ranked.
Yeah, let me
really
pull up
low.
my board. I'll see if anybody jumps out. Is like Jaden Higgins up there.
Yeah. And then Higgins or Kyle Williams was. And I do have to give Drew a little bit of credit. He's used the simulator a lot. So, and I know he likes Kyle Williams. So Kyle Williams is up. Let me just check a couple. I know. There was a center. Jared Wilson is too low. So I'm going to pick him. And what I'm trying to do at this case is if we don't need to talk about 5 guys in round 1, we don't need to do that for the Titans. I was going to make sure. And then Femi Oludajo was the other one. Oh, but he's already 87, so I don't need to worry about that. I'll do Travion Henderson. There we go. Okay, we just finished the Titans. That one was pretty fast. But generally speaking, what's going to happen here is we see the A+ grade. That means it was the top player. And we're good. We're just going to go right now and go right into the next one, which is Cleveland. For me, Cleveland is likely taking Shedeur Sanders, number 1. Or excuse me, in the first round. Is your opinion?
Yeah, I don't think it's as certain as Cam Ward is. It feels like it's also going to be the quarterback or Abdul Carter. If I had to predict, I don't know. Cleveland's so tough to predict. I feel like they'll throw out smoke screens but they'll keep what they actually are going to do close to their chest. So I'm not super confident. I probably would guess Shedeur at this point if I had to.
Yeah. Okay, Noel's already up high. So I'm just checking a couple of the players. Wilson should be up higher. So generally when you do a first round challenge, if you see, like in this case, I'm going to go grab Kyle Williams. Well, he's already right at the 3rd round grade. I'm good there. Let me check Amos. He's already up. And let me check Hairston. Already up. Okay. And let's check Femi Oludajo. Okay, he's 192, so I'll take him. Where do you have the edge from Michigan, Josiah Seward?
I'll tell you, he's like 3rd round somewhere. 74 for me.
Okay.
Where's Braden Swinson on here? Just out of curiosity. Okay. No, that's
enough Browns fans have picked him that he's moved
I
up
was
to
say
4.
if anything, that's kind of high actually, but okay. I respect it. Arroyo could probably be higher. Yeah.
Yep. So one of the things that I'm trying to do is to make sure that the mock drafts and the simulator are competitive. So if I see players that are really low, I'm using this to bump them up. And if you're a fan and you need to control your team's board, this is a very quick way to do it. Okay. So the Giants, to me, it would be with the way round 1 goes, right? So you see on the simulator, you see Ward and Sanders go. So then you see Travis Hunter is there at the top. And I would assume if the draft plays out this way, Travis Hunter's the pick. I
would probably agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. But a little trick here. Do you see how Travis Hunter is 2? I'm not going to pick him yet.
Mm-hmm.
That means one of the quarterbacks is below Hunter. Because I think the Giants would go quarterback over Hunter. So let me just check a couple of things. Let's see where Femi is. Okay, so we're going to go with Femi Oludajo. I'm going to move him up. Because I want to see what happens when there's a quarterback available for the Giants and where Hunter is.
Femi Odeja, second overall, exactly what you would expect.
Well, so you're right, it looks weird. So the way the algorithm works is whoever I picked goes the pick before.
Right.
So the next time. So one of the other players we were looking at was Stewart. Okay, so he's too low, so I'm going to move him up. And once you get into the third iteration, you're in a situation that's less likely to happen. Usually the first two iterations are the two that are most likely to happen. Okay, so you can see how Shedeur is below Hunter, but I think if both of them are on the board for the Giants, they would go Shedeur. So I'm purposely picking Shedeur over Hunter to try to see if I can get Hunter to drop to third on their board. Okay, and then one of the other players who was ranked really low was Jalen Noel, so I'm going to pick him. So you will see me picking Noel a lot in this exercise because when the simulator got loaded, he was really low, and I haven't fixed that. At least for the teams that are at the top. Okay, so you can see Hunter is still 2. So I'm purposely not picking him, trying to see if he would go, if he would fall to 3. We did Stewart, Noel, and then the other one was Kyle Williams. Okay, so I haven't fixed the Giants board, but I can go in and do that when we're done with the podcast. But I'm going one team at a time to remind everybody watching how it works. This is going to get way more dynamic in a minute, but I am making sure I go through this one team at a time in the order. Okay, so the Patriots in round 1.
This is where it gets a little more.
Do you think it's Abdul Carter or do you think it's Armand Membu?
I think those are both valid options. You have to believe if Hunter gets here, he's an option. If it's 2 quarterbacks and Abdul Carter, which is very possible. I mocked Tyler Warren to them, which might seem aggressive, but I think he's a wild card option. I don't think Ashton Genty's out of the question. I think if they really love him and Ramondre's not their guy, give Drake May a weapon in the backfield. I would say the favorite.
I'm with you there, but specifically with Membu or Carter, do you think it's Carter over Membu?
No, I think it's probably Membu.
Okay.
It's tough. I think they're wrong for thinking this, but I think the Patriots would think their defensive line is like not that bad right now, and so I think they would go with Membu to help Drake May because the offensive line is still just a mess.
And if you're faced them with Travis Hunter or Carter, you would go Hunter?
Man, that's hard.
Or would you go with a different position completely?
I would definitely go with one of them. I would probably go Hunter.
Okay. So if Membu and Hunter are off the board before pick 3, crazier things, or pick 4, crazier things have happened. But if Membu and Hunter are gone, who do you think is the next best choice?
Well, I would have said Abdul Carter, but he's gone too here. It's I would probably argue Jainty. It's tough too because we could go Jainty. Mason Graham is probably a conversation if Christian Barmore's still he's had that blood clot problem. So even though I know they signed Milton Williams, but that's a potential possibility. But again, I don't know if I would really bet on that.
So if Hunter and Membu are off the board, is it
Mm-hmm.
Abdul Carter for you over Shamar Stewart or another edge?
And I think it's as much as I love Shamar Stewart, it would be Abdul Carter, 100%.
Okay. And then we need one more. So if it's not Membu, Hunter, Genty, or Carter, is it Tyler Warren?
I would say it's probably him or Graham, because I don't think Tet. Like, I know they need a receiver, but like I don't think Tet is what they would go for. So like Mason Graham or Tyler Warren's probably would be the last option.
Okay. So this was the first normal first round challenge that we did, right? Where I wasn't screwing around with what's on the back of the draft card. Okay, next one.
I think the Patriots pick is where like the draft starts, quote unquote. Like
Yes.
that, it's really going to get interesting when we figure out where the quarterbacks go in the top 3, and then what New England winds up doing.
Okay, so right now it's Ward, Sanders, Hunter, Carter.
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay, do you think this is Kenneth Grant over Graham? Do you?
No, I think it's Graham. If it's a D tackle, I think it's Graham.
Okay. Do you like Will Johnson over Graham?
On my board, no, but corner is a big need still.
Okay.
So I think Will Johnson like makes sense. If it was based solely on my board and what the Jaguars need, I'd probably say Mason Graham.
Okay. And
if Abdul gets there, if Abdul gets there, which I don't even think, I mean, I don't think Will Johnson's going to, but I don't think Abdul getting to 5 is out of the realm of possibility. So, and if he is there, I know they don't really need edge, but like there comes a point where talent trumps need.
Okay, so if Will Johnson, Abdul Carter, and Travis Hunter are all gone for the Jaguars, who do you think is their pick?
Well, I would have said Mason Graham, but he's gone.
Yep. Is this Kenneth Grant or Shamar Stewart?
But because they don't need an edge, so I don't think it's Shamar. The people have been floating the Janty theory in the last couple days. I think he could be an option if you decide Travis Etienne is expendable, which like I wouldn't be surprised by. Liam Cohen loves his running backs.
Okay, and then if those 4 are off, you like Mason Graham, right?
I think it's got to be Mason Graham. Yeah.
Okay.
I do love Kenneth Grant. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's Mason Graham there.
Okay. So we've done 5 teams in 18 minutes, Anthony. We're doing awesome.
We're barreling through this.
Yeah, so we've already done 25 mock drafts. There we go. The Raiders. Okay. And again, like you said, the draft begins at 3. With the Raiders, to me, this is where, in my opinion, it gets a little bit more interesting.
It could go so many different directions here.
So the Raiders need a tackle, right?
Yeah, I think they need a right tackle.
Right.
Don't they have? They still have Colton Miller. I think they liked Glaze that they drafted last year. But yeah,
so I did Membu over Genty. Genty was 5 on the Raiders draft card. So here's what I'm going to try to do. So you notice how Genty was 5, but he's already fallen to 6. Membu just went ahead of Genty on the draft card, right? So I'm paying attention to what that number is. Do you like Mason Graham or Shamar Stewart to the Raiders? Or are we looking deeper on the board, like Will Johnson?
I think if Will Johnson medically is going to check out, I think he's a pick because they desperately need corner. And he actually I think he fits what Pete Carroll would want.
Okay. So I'm going to check one thing here for the Raiders. So Amos is too low for him to be their second round pick. I am picking Amos once because I need him to be higher on their board. So if he's there in round 2 and they don't take Will Johnson, that Amos would be the pick in round 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if Ward is there, do you think the Raiders would sprint that pick up?
Yeah, I mean, there's no way he gets to 6, but yes,
right. But
in theory,
we're playing with a theoretical mock draft algorithm. So you get to see what some of the algorithm is here.
Yeah, if Cam Ward has a gas mask video on draft night, then yes, he very well wind up 6.
Okay. So here's the question of the hour. If the Raiders were presented with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders.
I mean, if you're asking me what I would do, it's Travis Hunter. What I think they would do, I don't know. It's tough to know. I've seen Shedeur mocked everywhere from 2 to 21. So I really couldn't tell you like what the league thinks of him at this point.
Okay. So this is the New York Jets, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as you're getting the vibe for how the simulator is playing the first 6 picks, who is your default choice for the Jets?
I'm curious what the top 5 is going to be.
It's going to be. It should be predictable, Anthony.
It should be. Yeah, it's not going to be crazy. Like, Tyler Warren. Also, Mason Graham's gone. That's why he's not there. Yeah. Okay, that's about what I would expect.
So do you want Warren over Grant?
Yeah, probably. I do love Grant. They're both needs. Warren is I've come around more on Tyler Warren at 7. So
okay. So if Warren is off the board, do you do Mason Graham?
I think it would. Yeah, I would say Mason Graham. Again, I love
Shamar over Graham.
I love Shamar. I think Mason Graham is like talent wise, they're both there. I think D tackle's a bigger need. So
got it.
It would be Mason Graham.
Okay. If Warren and Graham are gone, what are you going to do?
This is where the Shamar Kenneth Grant for me starts. I wouldn't hate Membu. Like right tackle's the biggest need on this team right now, in my opinion. But I do love Josh Simmons too, but I don't know what his deal is with medical and character questions, whatever. Membu's probably, as much as I love Shamar, it probably should be Membu.
Okay, so if Warren, Graham, and Membu are off the board, what are the Jets going to do?
I think Shamar is in play for them. I really do. I think.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if
Abdul Carter's there, it's Carter over Stewart, though.
Well,
right?
then that's a different conversation. But assuming Abdul Carter's not there, I think Shamar Stewart is an option.
So Warren, Graham, Membu, Carter are off the board. You're doing Stewart over Grant?
Unless someone else crazy is there. No, I mean, I guess you could make like a Will Johnson. I'm not doing a quarterback. You could make like a Will Johnson argument to me, but I would probably – I think Aaron Glenn would like the idea of Shamar Stewart.
Got it. So that board actually, I think we got a few A-pluses there. That meant that the board was already lined up to the way that your brain thought.
Yeah, I think most of those picks
we did A-pluses across the board. That's our first one of the day, Anthony.
Nailed it.
Okay, so the next team, this is the Panthers, right? Okay.
This can pretty much be.
So I think for the Panthers, we're going to do 2 of these. So the first one is not going to be real. I'm going to get a couple of players up to their round 2 pick. I got to make sure Amos is up. He already is. Got to make sure Noel is up. He already is. Got to make sure Kyle Williams is up. He's not. Okay, another player that was ranked low was Femi Oladajo. So I'm going to make sure that he's up. So I'm going to take care of that one. I'm going to make sure Jared Wilson is up because I believe that they need a center. And if you're doing one of these for your team, do the lowest ranked players first. So you can see, like in this case, Jared Wilson has already been mocked, so I don't need to worry about moving him up. Where's Jaden Blue? Too far down. And then Stewart, too low. So the further away a player is from one, those are the players you want to move up first before you try to get the top of the board. As the person who designed the algorithm, my advice is to focus on the players. Focus on the players that are further back. So, like in this case, Jade Barron is way too low. So I'm going to move him up. Okay, so I just did 5 just to get those players to be further up. And that's to prevent crazy mock drafts from happening. And now we're going to do a real one for the Panthers. So what do you think, now that you see, again, like what the first 7 picks are going to be, do you think it's more likely that they would go Shamar Stewart, Kenneth Grant? Do you think it's Will Johnson?
I think it's best available defensive lineman is what I would do. And like I know Tet's there, but you can
You
get
like Shamar, right?
Later. I would go Shamar Stewart here, yeah.
Okay. So my observation was McMillan was 4th on the draft card. So everything I'm doing right now is going to be seeing where McMillan is. So you see he's still 4. So do you have Michael Williams, Kenneth Grant this high, Jalen Walker?
I have Walker above Michael. Grant's higher than both of them, but like they probably need an edge more than they need a D tackle because they still have Derek Brown. So I think you can literally just keep doing edges. Like you could do Michael here again. Mason Graham does make it interesting if he falls to 8. He could be one of these picks if he falls again.
Right. And a lot of what I'm doing just to educate people on the algorithm, if I need Tet to fall so that Shamar Stewart is higher than Tet, I'm always going to pick a player that's after Tet. So even though I would take Mason Graham if he was there, I am doing a little bit of manipulation here. What other edge? Do you like Mike Green in the top 10?
That's good for me. I would advocate for Jihad Campbell.
Okay.
I think he does so many things for your defense. He deserves to go top.
One other line player that you would like for the Panthers.
Who else? We did Walker. We did Michael. I mean, it could be Kenneth Grant. I wouldn't totally hate that. Again, it's not like the biggest need. They need more edge than D tackle, but just to get something on the defensive line besides Derek Brown.
Okay, so and again, no A pluses, so the board isn't quite set there. But if you do about 3 or 4 of these in a row, you can likely get your A pluses and literally get the board stacked exactly the way that you want it. And when we get to the Saints, we're probably going to see it. The feed for the draft professor from the Broncos fans that use the simulator is hysterical because they're explaining how many times they have to do this to get the board the way that they want it. So that way everybody is drafting. I can pretty much guarantee you the Broncos picks on the simulator are the ones that the Broncos fans like.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think the Saints are going to do at 9?
They could do, honestly, a bunch of different things. I could honestly see multiple options. If Shamar's on the board, I think Shamar is a very likely option. They need help on the defensive line also.
Okay.
But like,
And would it be the same defensive lineman that we just did for Carolina? So like you would like Jalen Walker and Jihad Campbell here?
I think they both would make sense. Michael also like would be an option here. But I could also see, like, I wouldn't be shocked if they pulled the trigger on a receiver. I think tackle is a consideration. If they love like Josh Simmons, or if Membu fell, maybe.
And let me check something. Let me see where Amos is. Okay, so Amos is within shot of their second round pick. Okay, so I'm looking down. Okay, so if Ted is there, that's a reasonable choice for them.
Yeah, I would say so.
Oh, and then I want to check to see where. Would you take Golden in the top 10?
No.
Okay, so you don't have him that high.
I'm not. I mean, it's not like ridiculous, but like I think like mid-teens is more likely.
Would you take Jade Barron in the top 10?
No, I think I have him even. He's like in the 20s.
Got it. Would you take Membu or Simmons?
I think Simmons, assuming medically you think he's okay, yeah. Membu, like here for the Saints, I think Membu's a choice I would make.
Okay.
I'm not into like Membu at like 4 and 5. I think is a little much.
So one of the reasons I wanted to do this is to start talking about where the corners will go. I think it's a story that's not being told very much. And we're going to talk about that with the Bears. We might do a couple of these for the Bears. What corners do you have on your board that could go at 10?
Just pure talent-wise, not even talking about like fit. I think Will Johnson is the only corner I would feel maybe good about in the top 10. And honestly, even Will Johnson, I'm not like all the way there as much as I used to be.
So we're going to start mocking pretty much any team that needs a corner. I'm definitely picking Jade Barron. I know that that's not your favorite spot.
No,
for him, right? You have him a little bit lower. But I'm seeing too many corners in the simulator fall.
Yeah.
Do you think Shamar Stewart could go to the Raiders or to the Bears?
He could. I wouldn't expect it, but I don't think it's like totally out of the question. I think Shamar is one of those players that like if you buy in to like the athletic traits, he could pretty much go anywhere.
Right. Do you like Kenneth Grant to the Bears?
Not over like a Genty or like Tyler Warren. I think more so than Grant.
Okay. So I'm going to do Grant, and then I'll do Warren. So I'm anti-running back in the top 10.
Yeah, I get it.
If you're the Chicago Bears and you think that you're making the playoffs, this is the last time that you're picking in the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
Make the pick count. And you don't do that with a running back. So I'm going to do Tyler Warren, and then I'll do Josh Simmons next, I believe.
I did.
Hey,
Josh
Elliot,
Simmons.
I see you in the chat. So the tackles that won't be guards would be Armand Membu and Josh Simmons in round 1. Ariante Ursary, round 1-2. Josh Connerly, round 1-2.
Yep.
Any additional tackles that you don't think are guards, Anthony?
No, I think you pretty much got it. I mean, even Kelvin Banks, like he's probably a tackle, but I could see the world where he kicks inside. So I wouldn't even, don't know if I'd put him like definitely on that list. Those are probably the 4 at those spots, I would say too.
Okay. So my goal is to get Ashton Genty off of pick 10. So I'm going to be doing a few Bears drafts until Ashton Genty is not a Bears pick. There's 2 reasons for that. I'm anti-running back in top 10. there's also a Bears fan that follows the page. So this is my shout out to him or her. I guess I don't actually know if it's a man or a woman. Just to say, okay, I've heard you. I don't think I would take Genty in the top 10. Not because he's not good, but I'm okay. And you notice already we've got Stewart over Genty. So we've already just the one that we just did last time was able to manipulate that. I'm going to try to get a couple more guys above Genty. But it is funny because I keep moving Genty off the Bear spot, and other people keep moving him to the Bear spot. So apparently I'm wrong. Do you like Mike Green in the top 10?
No, mainly just because I don't know what we're doing with Mike Green these days. So
okay,
I like the player is really good. Talent wise, I'd probably say like late teens is where I would take him. But again, he's got other problems. So
okay. So one of the things that I think is going to end up happening with the draft is we're going to see corners go off the board between pick 10 and pick 40. We're going to see a lot of corners go. There's a lot of teams that need a corner, which would include Buffalo needs one badly. You could argue that the Eagles do. Didn't the Eagles cut both of their corners?
They cut,
Slayton, right?
Yeah, well, they lost Darius Slay to somebody. Somebody signed Darius Slay, not the Eagles. I mean, they obviously still have Quinyon, but they need a second corner. Yeah. Outside corner.
And then I believe the Ravens do. Right, because the Ravens were in a Lattimore. The Commanders do.
The Commanders need a corner. They got Lattimore, but like he's old, so I wouldn't trust them.
So plus the Packers and Vikings.
Yes, okay. Both of them as well.
Okay. So now we're up to the 49ers. So the 49ers they definitely need a corner.
Yep.
You might even argue that they need two.
Yeah, you could.
So I'm definitely going to go Jahdae Barron. If he's available, Jahdae Barron is an option.
Yeah, I think him and Will Johnson are both options here, whoever they like more. Well, Will Johnson's gone here, but if Will Johnson's on the board, he's a pick also.
Okay. So how does your board stack up between Grant, Simmons, and Nolan?
I'd probably actually, no. I would move Nolan to the third spot, but honestly, like this is all they're all viable at this spot, in my opinion. Like they're all like in this early teens range.
And if there's another offensive tackle that you like at 10, if it's not Membu.
Not Membu or Simmons.
Membu hasn't been taken. Okay, where is he?
Oh, if Membu's here, he's a option. I've been wondering if there's a world Membu kicks to the left. I know that wasn't his position, but like he's talked about potentially being able to do that. So if you do need a left tackle, Membu might be on the board for you also. Just a thought.
Is there any other corner? Like, would you take Trey Amos at 11?
No, I don't think there's another corner. I wouldn't even take Barron at 11. But like, I don't love the corner class in terms of like elite talent. I think the corner class is like in the 20, 30, 40 range is where like I would be happy with the value.
Okay, so the next team is Dallas. What do you think Dallas's needs are? To me, it's corner, interior offensive line, maybe wide receiver, depending upon which one you like. Like, do you like Tet to Dallas?
I love Tet to Dallas. If Tet gets to Dallas at 12, which is not possible here, but possible in general, I think he's a great pair with Lamb.
Okay. Do you like Jalen Walker to Dallas?
Yeah. I mean, they do need. Honestly, Dallas needs pretty much everything in at varying degrees. But like Dallas, legitimately could take any position, and I would be like, yeah, that makes sense. Like their roster is not great, but like Tet is a great option for them.
What other receivers do you like at, what is it, 13? What other receivers do you like at 12?
This is probably where the Matthew Golden conversation starts for me. I don't think I would take him before this, but like here, I'm okay with it.
Okay, so if Walker, McMillan, and Golden are off the board, what are you thinking for Dallas?
I love Jahad Campbell, man. I would throw
like
it.
Jihad Campbell over Will Campbell?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, in general. I mean, obviously, different teams need different things, but yeah, Jihad's higher.
And then do you like Kenneth Grant over Will Campbell?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, and I like Genty over both for Dallas.
I would agree with that, yes. I also think Dallas fans would riot if they drafted another Michigan defensive lineman, but, that's a separate issue.
So it's pretty good, Anthony. We have done 12 picks in 40 minutes.
Doing good. If only it were this easy for the regular teams to make decisions.
Absolutely. Okay, so Miami, I'm immediately thinking trenches.
Yep.
If there's a safety here,
it's a conversation.
This is the ceiling for Starks.
I would probably agree with that, yeah.
So I would do Starks over Campbell.
Yeah. I know people love Will Campbell. I'm not there with him. I like him, but not in this range.
Would you do Emin Wari at 13?
I wouldn't, but I get it.
Okay. Would you do Shamar Stewart to Miami? I like that. He should be higher.
It's interesting. It's not like I mean, it is a need. They could use edge. They need an interior guy more, I think. But it's an interesting. If he gets here,
well, and to me, any team, if Shamar Stewart gets out of the top 10, to me that's a sprint to the podium.
No, that's been my thing all along. Like again, Shamar is just one of those prospects. Like literally any team could add him and get value from him. So I don't hate it.
Josh Simmons or Tyler Warren?
See, that's hard because I mean they're both needs. I guess
I would say tackle. I'm offensive line.
There's arguments for both. Warren's higher on my board, so that was going to be my logic, but I wouldn't be mad with Josh Simmons there. I think it makes
so from a Miami perspective, and obviously each of our teams plays Miami twice a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
My logic would be Warren at best is option 3 in the offense. At best, right? Sure. So nearly every other choice here would likely make a bigger impact on the team than Warren.
Mm-hmm.
Now, would you do Kenneth Grant over Tyler Warren if you were Miami?
I would probably do Warren, but I do think
okay.
D-tackle is a big need.
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant would.
They never replaced Christian Wilkins.
They never replaced Christian Wilkins, and it showed.
Kenneth Grant or Will Campbell?
I would take
or
Grant.
Ariante Ursary or Kelvin Banks.
Nah, I'd still take Grant. As much as I am a offensive line, somebody who thinks they get devalued too often, I think it's Kenneth Grant's just too good.
Okay, so now we get the Indianapolis Colts. So the Colts are usually the easiest team to predict who they draft.
Yeah, I would probably agree. One of them.
Who has the highest RAS score?
Yep.
Okay. Would you do Nolan or Eminwari if you were the Colts? My opinion is that it would be Nolan.
I would agree with that, yeah. Assuming, I know Nolan's had questions of, again, I'll leave it at character concerns. It's just kind of broad blanket, but if talent-wise, it's Nolan.
Okay. If Shamar Stewart's there, that's an easy one. RAS came to the Colts.
Yeah, they need somebody next to Latu or opposite Latu.
Okay, do you know, are there any offensive linemen with a high RAS score? Like Connerly or Ursery?
Well, Ursery's probably pretty high, I would think.
Yeah. I'm going to go Harmon over Eminwari.
Yeah,
from the standpoint of to me, you take the premium position early, which is defensive line, and this is the first time in this draft we've taken Harmon. How high do you have Harmon?
He's in the 30s or 40s. I forget where exactly. It's 46.
I would do Tyler Warren over Eminwari.
I definitely tight end is their biggest need at this point.
Yep.
I think even Colston Loveland is, if Warren's not here, Colston Loveland's a conversation that they would have.
Okay. Okay. So I was told the Colts don't need a cornerback, and that was part of my exercise for the day. Is I wanted to see the landing spots for players like Jahdae Barron. So we're doing Atlanta. This to me is edge rusher or Jihad Campbell.
Or D tackle, but yeah, I would agree. Yeah. Basically front seven. Any pick you want, throw it in.
So they're in on Mike Green. So he's already at the top of their draft board.
Yeah, and Jalen Walker makes sense too up there.
The shorter arms on Jalen Walker don't bother you?
They do, but I still do think you can find a way to, if you understand how to use his talents, I think you can get past it. But it is not my favorite thing in the world. That's probably why I prefer Jihad Campbell, is because he has that size.
Okay, I have a couple questions at pick 15. Do you like Izaraku enough to take him at 15?
It's rich for me, okay. But I don't
How
think
about,
it's
Princely or Kennard.
Those are both. I have Izaraku 30, and both of those guys are 50 something. Do
you like Swinson at 15?
Nah, that's too rich for me too.
Okay.
I think the only other edge I would take here is either Michael. James Pierce is another one I love, but has questions of his own. But I am a big James Pierce guy, so I think he could be a conversation to be had at this spot.
Okay. Now, they do need a corner. So I am going to, Barron should not be 44 on the board. So
no, he should
I'm
be
taking a corner. So I don't think they would go corner here.
No,
but at the same time, they can likely get the edge in round 2. There's a pretty good chance that none of the corners are going to be there. If they need a corner, they're probably not going to be there in round 2. And that's kind of the discussion that I wanted to start.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Michael Williams here. And that finishes the 5. So we're not seeing Will Johnson drop. Like, I never saw him in any of the 5. I never saw Will Johnson drop. And these are some of the things that I'm looking. Every once in a while, there's crazy things that happen with fans not picking, like Will Johnson if he's there. So he drops, and I haven't had the chance to check. So that was one of the reasons I was going to podcast this today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've got Arizona. We're probably going to do 2 of these for Arizona because one of these is going to be very cornerback specific. So is Jahdae Barron off? Really? No? Oh, wow. He's really low.
Mm-hmm.
He was 65. Okay, so where do you have Amos?
Amos is like, he's at 50 something.
Oh, wow. So he barely cracked your top 50. Who are the corners you have ahead of Amos?
The corners I have ahead are, obviously, like Will Johnson, Jahdae. I'm higher on Morrison and Ravel, and obviously that is contingent on medicals checking out. But talent-wise, I like them more. Azaria is ahead of him. Azaria Thomas. And I have Maxwell Harrison ahead of him, and then that he's corner 6 or 7, whatever that makes him.
Got it. Thank you. So there's a tier of corners in the draft, and I'm going to say there's Will Johnson. I should say there's Travis Hunter, Will Johnson, Jahdae Barron. I'm going to say if I were to poll 10 people, 7 of the 10 have those 3 guys really high, with Anthony being one of the 3 of 10, and it's okay for you to be low.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's another tier of corners, which is Hairston, Amos, Revel, Morrison. And some are going to have them, maybe one of them round 1, maybe 2 of them round 1. So what I'm trying to do is to make sure that those corners are just high enough on a team's board. And then you said you also have Azaria Thomas.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's a good, I think 21 is a fair spot for him. But, he is in that tier that you were talking about, too.
Yep. Okay. So I just did one with the Cardinals just to get the corners to move up. And you can see my grades reflect the fact that they were ranked really low. Okay, so now we're going to do one for real for the Cardinals.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I've got, a corner probably isn't going to fall past Arizona in round 2. And that was one of the reasons I did that.
Yeah.
Okay, so Arizona, to me, this could be anything front 7.
Yeah.
Or if the right corner is there, you take the corner.
Yeah, I think the interior offensive line conversation starts if you like Booker, which I do, or like a Donovan Jackson. Will Campbell.
Okay, so let's do. So you like Donovan Jackson at 16?
I do.
Yep. Okay, well, it looks like we're going to be doing 3 of these for Arizona.
I think Donovan Jackson is a top 15 to 20 player. I think he's that good.
And you like Booker?
Tyler Booker.
And you're not the only one that likes Booker. I don't. And okay, let me. I don't want to make Anthony sound like an outlier. Okay, I know Josh would have taken Booker about 10 spots higher. Well, I think 6 spots higher.
Yeah, I think Booker at 53 is low. Donovan Jackson, I understand why people aren't as high on him as I am, but Booker should definitely be.
Where are you on Zabel?
See, Zabel for me is in the 40s. I'm not into the. Everybody mocks him Seattle at 18, which we'll get to, but like that's like the new sexy chalk pick is Gray Zabel at 18, and I wouldn't do that.
Okay. And then where are you on Bo?
I actually think that's about right. I would probably say like he's like high 50s, so I mean like 60s reasonable.
Okay.
I like him, but that's where I would have.
And I'm grabbing him here just to make sure that he's high enough on the board that he's within the round 2 range.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was even where he was outside the range of where they pick in round 2.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Okay, and then do you have Savanea high enough to take in round 1?
No, honestly, like I actually think those guard rankings are pretty accurate for what I would have.
Okay. So that was the second one we did for Arizona. I think we can do one for real now.
Yeah.
But again, the goal if you're using this first round challenge to manipulate a board, sometimes you just want to get guys just to move up a little bit and then play with it from there. So you can treat this as a game. This is definitely one of my favorite toys. So like I'm having fun playing with my toy. Okay. So if the board were to fall this way, and I'm looking to see, so Stewart's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Ashton Genty to the Cardinals?
Nah. As much as like it would be fun.
Okay.
They have Connor. They still want to get Trey Benson, get him going. I don't think they would go Genty.
So where are you on Grant and Harmon?
Grant is probably this range, like in the teens. Harmon, I'm lower on. He's like 30 something.
Got it.
But I would get it. I would get it if you wanted to take him here.
Okay, so if Grant is off the board, what are you thinking for Arizona? Do you like Campbell or Walker? That would be Jihad Campbell.
Yeah, I think Jihad could make sense here. That, like you said, I think it's front 7 or like offensive line or like maybe wide receiver if they want to get somebody next to Marvin. But that's probably something I would wait for day 2 for.
Michael Williams or Mike Green?
Michael Williams.
Okay, so if Grant, Jihad Campbell, Michael Williams are off the board, I'm looking to see if Shamar fell. And you said that you don't like do you like Izaraku at 16?
It's a little rich for me. I would wait till like the 20s. This is a James Pierce spot for me. If
okay, but you do okay. So you can see Pierce is the 7th on the draft card, but you would have Izaraku and Pierce really close on the board.
No, I would have
like,
Pierce.
Yeah.
Pierce is like top 15. Izaraku's like top 30.
Got it. Okay, let's see. Did a corner fall?
Yeah, I mean, if you want
How
to take.
high do you have Hairston?
He's in like the 40. He's like 49.
Okay.
I was gonna say if you want to take Jade because he's also low. He's at like 43, which he shouldn't be.
He? Oh, okay. Yep. I'll do that one more time. Thank you for seeing that. I didn't even see that. This is a quick way to also go through whichever team's draft cards you want. So now we're up to the Bengals. This to me feels like it's line on either side of the ball. So I think Booker and Jackson would make sense here.
I 100% agree with you.
So let's see. So Booker's already 6. We'll take Donovan Jackson. I want him higher.
Yeah, when I did my mock draft, I put Donovan Jackson at this spot.
Okay, and then what type of edges do you think the Bengals like?
I mean, they probably want, because it's got to be, you have Trey Hendrickson, so they probably would want a little more size. So like, I don't
So
think
that's the
I
Michael
think
Williams,
Michael
right?
Williams. Yeah, if you like Michael, I think this is a spot for him. But I think D tackle's probably more likely than edge if I had to guess.
Yeah,
So,
and I know that
you like
Ryan Sparks likes Harmon.
Yeah, I know, but he's not the only one. There's a few people that do.
Kenneth Grant,
I
definitely.
think Kenneth Grant's a home run pick here if he's here. And I would say Walter Nolan too.
Yep. Okay, next team. This is 18 in the order, right? Yeah, Seattle. Okay, so Elliot, I know that you're a Seattle fan. So what lineman, you like Donovan Jackson here? And Tyler Booker as well?
Those are my top 2.
Got it. So Booker. Donovan Jackson.
Matthew Golden being 1 is fascinating. Wide receiver.
Okay, would you do Golden or McMillan if you were Seattle?
No. I mean, I know they traded DK, but I think offensive line has to be the pick.
Well, right. So if Booker and Jackson are off the board,
I think the Kelvin Banks conversation starts. I mean, Josh Simmons is here, so you could take Josh Simmons.
Yep. Thank you for that observation. Thank you for talking me off the ledge.
Because I know they need interior more than they need a tackle, but even still, Abraham Lucas is not a great right tackle. So
do you like Banks over Connerly?
I do. Yes. Yeah. And I also think Banks he can play inside to begin with. And then you can eventually move him to tackle if you want to do that. Whereas I don't think.
Okay, if Booker, Jackson, Simmons, and Banks are off the board, what does Seattle do? Is this Malachi Starks? Or is there another line?
I don't hate Malachi Starks here. If it's not offensive line, I think safety is a viable option.
Starks or Warren?
I mean Warren's higher on the board, but it's probably Starks.
Okay.
I think it would. I mean, it would be crazy if Warren got here, but I still think it's Starks.
So I think the issue with Warren, and it's probably similar with the safeties, not every team needs a tight end. So if Warren doesn't go to the Jets, okay, maybe he goes to the Panthers. Maybe he goes to the Saints. Maybe he goes to the Bears. But I don't think that is the primary position of need for any of those 4 teams. Maybe the Jets.
No, well, yeah. Of those 4, I think the Jets' tight end need is biggest. There's no way he gets past Indy at 14, though. If he's there for Indy, they are sprinting that card to the podium.
But do you think, because, again, my opinion would be you invest in the premium position. So meaning that tight end, if you have a choice between Walter Nolan and Tyler Warren, I think that you would be foolish to pass up the premium position.
I mean, maybe, but Indy desperately needs a tight end, and if you're and I'm not saying Tyler Warren is Brock Bowers, but like you saw what Brock Bowers did for a team that was horrific last year. But like if he wasn't on that team, they're probably picking first overall. So I think you have to take Tyler Warren in that situation if he gets to 14.
So Elliot, some people will take Gray Zabel to the Seahawks. Anthony is not as high on Gray Zabel, so we didn't do it on this podcast. But there have been other podcasts we've done where Gray Zabel has gone 18 to Seattle. So he's in the conversation. It just depends on who's doing the grading. And then Randall, it's good to see that you're stopping by, like while you're on vacation with the family. I'm just saying. Okay, so Tampa Bay to me, this is an interesting one because I definitely think corner is of discussion. You can see Amos is already up. Could you see a world where Maxwell Hairston goes in round 1?
Yeah, I could see the world. I think 19 is rich, but you don't run a 4-2 as a corner and not get first round consideration.
Okay. And then you're lower on Barron, but do you think like is it a conversation between Barron and Walker if you're Tampa Bay, or for you this is Walker every day of the week?
I think it's Walker, but like if it is Barron here, I don't think it's. I think this is where it starts to get like pretty reasonable for me. That like you could see Barron be the pick here, but like I would take Walker in that situation.
Okay.
It's
and
Campbell
then
all day of the week.
I would still take Campbell over Barron.
Yeah, see Campbell. It's not even a contest if he gets here.
I think it would be Barron over Green.
Yeah, I'd probably agree. I think it's a conversation, but I would probably say Barron.
Do you think that there's a conversation here about Matthew Golden or Luther Burden?
I don't, only because you did bring Godwin back and you still have, I mean, obviously you have Mike Evans, you still have Jalen McMillan who kind of came on at the end there. So I don't think you go receiver round 1.
Where are you on Starks, Emin versus Mike Green?
Starks is highest of the 3. He's about here on my board, like in the high teens, low 20s. And then Green and Emin are both like low 30s.
Okay, so we have done 19 of the 32 teams, and we've done it in just over an hour. We're cruising. We're cruising.
For comparison, the real draft will be about 3 picks in within the first hour.
No kidding. Okay, so the Broncos, if Gentie's there, they're sprinting that one up. I already know that.
Here, you're setting the 40-yard dash record if he's there.
Is there another running back that you would take at 20?
I would consider Hampton, but I would probably lean toward one of the receivers that's available, or if like Colston Loveland's on the board here, because I assume Tyler Warren's gone.
Colston Loveland. Yep.
I think Loveland or one of the receivers over a running back. I also think D tackle is in play at this spot, depending on who's here.
Tyleek and Alfred Collins.
Yeah, see, no. Then no. I like him, but not here.
Okay. Do you like Golden, Igbuka, or Burden better?
Here I like Golden. I think he and Cortland Sutton that's a good one too to have.
So if Genty, Loveland, and Golden are off the board, is it Kenneth Grant?
It's yeah.
I've podcasted with you enough that I know that. I mean, if you like Kenneth Grant at 7,
If
I'm
Kenneth
sure
Grant,
you would love him at 20.
I'm open to Kenneth Grant at 7. If he's here at 20, he's definitely taken.
Do you like Walter Nolan at 20 to the Broncos?
I do, yeah. I would lean offense if I were Denver, but if it's defense, I think D tackle it's a reasonable pick. Could also be corner, to be fair.
Okay, yeah, that's right. They could have. This is a sneaky spot for a corner, even though they have Surtain. They still need the corner on the other side.
Yeah, that's true.
I wasn't even thinking corner because they had Surtain.
No, but they need another one.
Okay, so the Steelers to me are a great landing spot for a corner. So I think there's 3 or 4 corners that are in play here. So we're going to do at least one of these that's just all corners, just to make sure they're all up on the board. And we're going to do a couple here for Pittsburgh. So let's see. So Noel should be higher. And then Kyle Williams should be higher. Okay. Will said they like Diggs, so I'm going to make sure Diggs is higher. Okay, and then corners. Hairston should be higher. Most of the corners that needed to be high are already high. Oh, I know the other one, blue. Okay, so we just did one just to get a couple people that were ranked really low up higher. Now we're going to do one with all corners that could possibly go to Pittsburgh in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
So on your board, you said that you have Hairston higher than Amos, correct?
Correct.
And it's by a decent margin.
Yeah, it's like 7-8 spots. It's not like crazy.
Oh, okay. I thought it was a bigger margin than that. I apologize.
No, Harrison's like 49, I think it was, and Amos is like 50, 57, 58. So yeah, I guess it's like 7-8 spots, but it's not like egregiously high. But yes, I have Harrison higher.
Yeah. So at this spot, I think there would be at least 4 corners in play. Amos, Hairston, Barron isn't here, and Revel enters the conversation. I think right now, like if I have to do like draft professor consensus, I think I see more people with Revel in round 2 than round 1.
Yeah.
But
I do think if the medical's clear, Ben Morrison is a first round talent. So that's a corner that, like, if he's at 64 here, I would probably say should be higher.
Thank you.
Because I could see him falling if the hip's not but he was putting out like top 10 caliber tape in 2023.
Yeah. And then Barron would be in play as well. Okay, so now we're doing that. Now we've done 2 for Pittsburgh. This is the third. Now we're going to kind of put our Steelers GM hat on, because I think, based upon listening to Will, I think this pick is Milroe.
Yeah, I could see it. It's a swing, but it's a world I can imagine.
Yeah, it's not what Will wants them to do. It's what Will thinks they will do.
That's fair. That's fair.
Right. But so the way that the simulator algorithm works is it's generally picking the top player. And if it doesn't pick the top player, it's going to look in the top 8. So like in this case, Jackson Dart could be one of the 2 teams. So there's 2 teams by default that don't take the top player per round. So it could be Pittsburgh in round 1 and then Buffalo in round 2 doesn't take the top player. It's not always the same team in each round, but there's 2 teams in each round that don't take the top player. So, okay. So if Barron's there, if Milroe's gone, I think Barron is a very logical choice for Pittsburgh because they need a slot.
Yeah.
Okay. Pittsburgh doesn't take receivers in round 1. Will has told me that.
Yeah.
Amos to Pittsburgh does make sense. They need a boundary corner too.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Okay, so if Milroe, Barron, Amos are off the board, do you like Maxwell Hairston?
I would probably say, well, where's Azaria Thomas? Did he go? No way. He went. Is he alive? Oh, yeah. Needs to be way higher than 203.
We're going to do at least one more of these. He was too low. I didn't even think of him.
I just remembered him. I'm like, wait a minute. Yeah, we're missing some guy.
Okay, so Barron, Amos, Thomas are off the board.
I do think, yeah, I mean, we could go corner again just to keep it corners, but I do think like D tackle is in play as well for this pick for Pittsburgh.
I've seen Will mock. They need a 3-4 defensive end.
Yeah.
So that's the type of defensive lineman that I see Will mocking to them.
Yeah.
So this is our 4th time that we're doing Pittsburgh. So if you're a Steelers fan and you're watching, thank you.
Pittsburgh's a fun one.
Okay. So we would go Milroe. Thomas. Okay, so if Milroe and Thomas are off the board, Amos over McMillan.
Yeah,
and then you like
likelihood. Yeah, I would agree.
So you would think Kenneth Grant here, even though he's not a 3-4 defensive end, because I did see him drop once.
Yeah, I mean the talent says yes. I get your point. Yeah. But also, because they have Keanu Benton right now, who they would probably want to move out of that true nose spot. So they could just make Benton a 3-4 DN and then have Grant in the middle. So I don't think it's like crazy that they would take him.
So, Anthony, the only team that's gotten 5A pluses is the Jets.
I mean, that feels poetic to me.
Chargers. How many Michigan players can we mock to the Chargers?
Just do 5 Michigan players. You probably could do most Michigan players, honestly.
Because let's do one check here. Let's see where Josiah Stewart is. Okay, too low.
Yeah.
So for anybody watching, if I pick somebody that was as low as Stewart, he's going to be in the range for a third-round pick. Just by me picking him in round one once, he should be in the range of a third-round pick. But the only way he would be the third-round pick is that if he was the highest player. So he's at least on the front page of the third-round pick, I think is the right way to say it. Okay, so if Colston Loveland is off the board, do you like Jalen Walker to the Chargers over Stark?
No, I don't like it only because I think they would want size in their pass rushers. I don't think they would want Walker's physical profile.
Okay.
I honestly
so on the edges that are here, do you like Landon Jackson at 22?
It's too rich for me. I get the Nick Scorton hype.
Do you like Scorton at 22?
That's also rich for me, but I like it more than like a Landon Jackson.
Okay.
And I think
what Harbaugh.
Do
you like any of the receivers here? Do you think they would go receiver?
They could. It depends. It kind of depends who's around.
Kenneth Grant is here, so that's
Kenneth
obvious.
Grant, you are pushing people out of the way to get to turn the pick in.
Do you like Mike Green to the Chargers?
I could see it. Yeah, I think they could use an edge. They moved on from Bosa. Khalil Mack is 35 now, however old he is. So edge makes sense.
And do the Chargers need a corner?
I don't think it's one of their.
You don't think it's that high?
I don't think it's one of their bigger needs now. I think trenches, tight end, pass catcher, and D-line are probably where I would go. And you could always go offensive line, I guess, with Jim Harbaugh as your coach. But
I mean, they have two tackles, right? Because they have.
Yeah, it would be an interior guy. That would be the only.
So I would do Harmon over Thomas based upon what I would say is premium position. But to me, the Packers pick is likely either going to be Harmon or Azare Thomas.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have to channel our inner Brian. If Derek Harmon and Azare Thomas are off the board, what do you think Green Bay does? Maxwell Hairston?
No, I think. Well, I mean, maybe. I think Savone Ravel, if he's healthy, because he's longer and bigger, which they like.
Okay. So if Thomas, Revel, and Harmon are off the board, what do you think Green Bay does?
I'm trying to think if there's any other position that would be. I mean, I guess. Like if they
Kenneth Grant.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know. I love Kenneth Grant so much, so I don't want to be biased here, but does
he meet their athletic thresholds?
I think for a 339-pound man, he does meet a lot of athletic thresholds. He's not like.
And I mean, Brian has told me they would take Tyleik Williams in round 1. He says he meets the criteria. So
yeah,
we'll go Tyleik here.
Sure, I could see it.
And my goal once the podcast ends is I'm going to try to take most of these guys and get them to where they're A+. So it's going to pretty much feed them in this order.
Mm-hmm.
But doing that on a podcast would take hours. Okay. Vikings. This is an interesting one because they don't have a lot of picks and they need corner help like it's going out of style. So Owen and I were doing a podcast on Thursday where we were plotting like what is the Bills' worst case. And it's a corner going here and a corner going here.
Yeah.
So whether that corner is Hairston, whether that corner is Amos,
this is a Darian Porter spot. I think he
you like
fits.
Darian? Okay.
I think he really fits what Minnesota does. And
you have Porter high enough that you think he would go in round 1 possibly?
Oh yeah. No, I have Porter higher than most of the guys we've talked about up to this point.
You see it. I had to pay better attention.
Yeah. I mean, just he never came up, but yeah, no, I have Porter like 30 some or like high 20s, I think even. Like I think Porter's a freakish athlete.
Okay. If Hairston, Porter, Amos are off the board, it has to be Azare Thomas.
I think that makes sense, yeah.
Okay. And then my opinion is it's easier to get a safety late than it is to get a corner late.
Sure.
So, I mean, I like Starks and I like Emimori to the Vikings. And Emimori will be my last pick. But if any Vikings fan is watching, I would be in this draft. If you tell me that you have to wait until round 3 to take a corner with your limited draft capital, you might be reaching. Whereas I don't know that you would be reaching for a safety in rounds 3 or 4.
I just thought of it. Where's Xavier Watts? On the we could see it when you pick a team, but I'm curious where Xavier Watts is in the rankings.
He pretty much will not fall past the Jets in round 2. That's pretty much how it's set up.
Okay,
because he's pretty high on the Jets board. He's been picked enough by the Jets that he's pretty high.
That's what I like to hear. I just want to make sure.
Oh, whoops. And I forgot to hit the first round challenge. So we're doing a 1-round draft.
Wow. Great mock.
Yep. And we'll do golden.
Sure.
Okay. Forgot to hit the button. So, Brandon, if you are here, we're going to do 5 first-round picks for the Texans, and we can do this one 2 or 3 times if we wanted to. So, Anthony, you like Booker and Jackson here?
Yeah, I like pretty much any offensive lineman that you want to take here. This could literally be 5 offensive linemen if we want to. Like like I know I've been crapping on Will Campbell this whole time, but like Will Campbell can be the pick here too.
Okay, so out of Jackson, Booker, Banks, do you like Jackson the highest?
No, I like Booker the highest, but like it's literally like it's 1A, 1B for me. So
got it. And then you like Jackson over Banks?
Yes. Yeah. I like Banks more as a tackle, but I like Jackson more as a prospect.
Got it.
And I think Houston needs.
And you like Banks more than Connerly?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Simmons was there and I didn't grab him.
It could also be Simmons.
Okay, so if Booker, Jackson, Banks are off the board, who's your next tackle?
My next tackle's going to be Ursary.
And then Simmons.
Yeah.
Okay, and 90 minutes in,
Well,
and we have done 25 teams.
Look at that.
So the Rams, to me, this is, I mean, they could go a lot of ways, but corner is a need. So
I think corner's the big one.
yeah. And the Rams don't have a second round pick, I don't think.
No, I think you're right.
But they do have 2/3.
Yes, that's what it is.
So I've done Porter, I've done Hairston.
Yeah, I mean, I would say like Azare Thomas, he's up there. Yeah, like an Amos.
And then Thomas. Okay. So if Porter, Hairston, Amos, Thomas are not there, and his Barron didn't fall, is this Colston Loveland or is it Malachi Starks or Nick Emmenward?
I'd probably say Loveland.
Ooh, so Randall, I don't know if you saw this, but Randall, I didn't realize, I guess I saw your 4-round mock, but I never opened it. Who were your picks for Buffalo?
I will tell you. Let me look it up. I did have Willie Lampkin in the 4th as Randall mentioned. So I had Alfred Collins at 30. I had, where's Buffalo? I had Trey Amos at 56. Kevin Winston at 62. And then did they have one more besides Willie? Let's see.
Yeah, we have a late 4th.
Savion was 109, and then Willie Lampkin was the last one.
Okay. So what do you think the Ravens do at 27?
The Ravens honestly could be like a few different things because they could also be a corner. I think edge is on the table. I think receivers on the table.
Do you like Golden?
See, I like Golden more as a player, but I actually don't know if I love Golden. Like, I don't know if I love the fit. I think they need a bigger. I think Egbuka or Higgins actually makes more sense in terms of what they need in a receiver.
Right. And I like how, even though you have somebody higher, you say somebody else is a better fit, because a lot of what I try to do, like when I design the simulators, pick the players that fit. We don't want to talk about a board. We want to talk about players that fit. And Booker to the Ravens makes too much sense.
I 100% agree with you.
And then that would also imply, now that we were talking about Booker, we should get Donovan Jackson in here.
Yeah, we could do that too.
And I know I've seen Josh mock both of those players to Baltimore.
Yeah, I think interior offensive line is another like very possible way they go.
Okay, so if Colston Loveland drops, they're not going to. I don't think they're taking a tight end, even if they get rid of. Yeah, even if they get rid of Mark Andrews, I still don't think it's Loveland.
No, yeah, you still have Isaiah Likely.
No. I was trying to remember. The wide 9 is Cleveland. I was trying to remember what the defensive scheme was in Baltimore. So they're going to do they like the bendier edges like Pierce or the bigger edges like Scourton?
I feel like they like the bendy. Okay. I feel like Ezaraku is is a reasonable spot for him.
And then if they like bendy edges, that's a Braden Swinson, right?
Yeah.
I know that you don't like Swinson this high, but I'm going to give a shout out to Josh. Josh has a first round grade on Swinson.
I get it, honestly. Like, I have him as a round 2 player, but like I see the vision with him, so to speak.
And one of the reasons I like this first round challenge, it's designed so that from a podcast standpoint, you can talk about possibilities. Swinson is not going to be the Ravens' first round pick on the simulator unless more people do mock drafts and agree with me.
Mm-hmm.
So it's okay to take somebody in round 1 once. And I may have impacted Baltimore's second round pick, but I didn't impact who they're taking in round 1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the Lions, they have Derek Harmon sitting at the top of their board. That's almost scary that he's dropping this far.
I mean, not for me.
But that's a good pick, right?
Yeah.
We can.
Yeah, I mean, in this spot, I don't hate it. I don't think it's like egregious that he's here, but I think it's a good spot. I do think they need edge more than they need interior, though. They need somebody. They need somebody besides Hutchinson.
And I know that Bill Sparks likes Landon Jackson to the Lions.
Yeah.
What other edges do you like to the Lions?
Yeah, it's got to be like that kind of bigger edge rusher. Like that
would be a Scourton, right?
It would be a Scourton. Yeah, it makes sense. If you think Uman Mielen should go here, I would
love Princely in round 1, so we'll definitely do that.
Yeah, I'm not there with him, but he's another one. Like, I get it, so I don't hate it.
Would you take Booker or Jackson?
You could. They have an aging interior offensive line, so it's not like a dire need at this point, but a team that likes to run the ball could definitely like Tyler Booker. He fits what they want to do.
The Commanders. You know, the cool thing about this year is when I'm podcasting the first round challenges, I get to talk about every team.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, I couldn't talk about Cleveland. They didn't have a first round pick.
Yeah. This is the first draft in, I forget what the year was, but it's been a while since every team's had their first round pick.
Okay, so I just did Ursary as the first player for the Commanders. I can see the Commanders going corner, and then Barron's here, so that makes sense.
Yep, I agree.
I can see him going edge. What kind of edges do you think they like?
I think they would generally prefer size, but I mean, I feel like Dan Quinn likes to do different things in terms of like his fronts. So I don't think like an Ezeraku is like out of the question. But he would probably prefer the bigger ones, like a Scourton.
Do you think running back, is there a running back you have graded high enough to take it back around 1?
I think the only one, well, no, I shouldn't say that. If Hampton or Henderson snuck their way into round 1, like Henderson, I think is too low at 86. So that's
you
could do that.
Okay.
We made it to Buffalo.
So Buffalo, Amos, if history proves correctly, Amos is sitting at the top of Buffalo's draft card.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a few of us that have done Bill's mock drafts in there.
Nope.
And that's why I love this simulator.
Apparently Amos, because he went 21. That makes sense.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Okay. If Golden's there, you take Golden in that situation.
Yeah, I'd agree.
I'm okay with people mock drafting against Buffalo taking Golden.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hairston round 1, I would do. I would do Thomas over Emamori.
Yeah.
Kenneth Grant over Loveland. Wow. This is the first time I have seen Kenneth Grant fall to Buffalo in a really long time.
I will throw something at the TV if Buffalo gets Kenneth Grant.
So Owen and I were talking on a podcast that it is absolutely wild that as a draft community, we are talking about taking Kenneth Grant at 7 to the Jets and Kenneth Grant at 30 to Buffalo.
Yeah. It's wild.
That is the craziness of this year.
Yeah.
That the grading just isn't, it's not the same. So you can't really use the word consensus.
No, yeah, I agree 100%.
But if it's a choice between Amos and Harmon, this is an interesting one. I am definitely saying Amos for 2 reasons. I want Amos higher than Loveland and Pierce.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also a bigger position of need. So I'm curious. I'm going to do one more of those. That was actually one of the most unique ones that I've seen for Buffalo in all the times that I've done this. Between Colston Loveland dropping, that is kind of wild. Do you see a world where Colston Loveland gets out of round 1?
I see it because I think, as you talked about, like, tight end gets devalued, and depending on where Tyler Warren goes in that scenario, I could see Loveland falling. Yeah, I don't think he should, but I could see it.
Okay. Got 2 more teams to do. The Chiefs. So what do you think the Chiefs are going to do?
I think the Chiefs could pick any position and justify it. I think
I'm with you there.
I think what comes to mind, I think offensive line. I should say tackle. I should say.
And you like Banks over Connerly?
Yeah. Yes.
What kind of edges do the Chiefs like? Is this a Braden Swinson? Is it a Scorton?
It's probably a
Princely?
It's probably a Scorton because they're big too. They have like Karlaftis, who's a big man. But I mean, it could be edge. This is where, like, again, like, if you're a big Omarion Hampton guy or Trevion Henderson guy, running back is on the table. Tight end's a sneaky one. Your Kelsey heir, if you will.
Wow, Kenneth Grant is now falling.
Yeah, that's wrong. That's morally wrong to me.
So if a player's falling in the 4th and 5th, the likelihood he's going to fall in a real mock draft is low.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, like, seeing him there is still piquing my interest. And you said you'd like Booker over Jackson.
For the Chiefs, I'm not so. Yeah, as players, I would slightly put Booker over
Got
Jackson.
Okay. And then last but not least, the Eagles.
I mean, this is another one. It literally could be like
Okay.
at least five different things. But I mean,
right. The Eagles tend to draft core positions. So actually, Randall, David, and I podcasted this like 3 months ago. What makes the Eagles easy is that you need to just look at a couple positions. It's going to be defensive tackle, edge, wide receiver, corner. And then if there's an offensive tackle you like, they don't need an offensive tackle now. But you're looking at premium positions only. So
yeah, I think I was just going to say, I think people automatically think that Eagles like just always draft trenches, which is like true, but it's only partially true. I think what the Eagles do is they draft what they're gonna need. Like Howie Roseman's always thinking a year ahead. So he's drafting trenches because those positions usually need more as each year passes, right? You need that influx of offensive line depth and defensive line depth. So I think people like misconstrue like, well, he always just drafts trenches. No, he just always drafts that because that's usually what you always need. But yeah, I think corner is a very viable pick. I think receiver, maybe not round one, but I think it's on the table. I think tight end is on the table if they're going to move Dallas Goedert, which seems like it's a possibility. So like a Mason Taylor could find his way here, I think.
Where did Tyreek Williams go? Wow. Okay. Tyreek went to. Wow. Okay. Okay. So we just did a podcast the other day on Fangio, like the fits for a Fangio defense. And now I'm trying to remember who they had. They had Izaraku as a Fangio outside linebacker.
I was going to ask, I don't know if I would take him here, but I'm curious, is Oladejo down in the depths for the Eagles too? Because I don't think it's like the craziest pick yet. Yeah, it should be higher than 223.
I'm good there. I like, Anthony, how you and I can talk through this, that even if I pick guys that aren't where you have them on the board, you humor me with the possibilities. So when I designed the simulator, I said, okay, I want each team to have their own player board. So, we can see kind of what types of players each team likes. But in addition to that, you need to be able to go through scenarios. So if you are watching this podcast and you want to like draft against the Eagles taking Maxwell Hairston because you think that's the perfect scheme fit, what you want to do is make sure that first guy that you pick gets an A+. That means you got to keep drafting him until he's the top player on their board when they're on the clock. And if you can get every single pick, like if you look down here, you see all the A+? That's the simulator picking the top player on the board for every single team. So all you have to do is draft the player enough that they're going to give you the A+. Right? So you can just keep going through and you see that the simulator is always taking the top player on the board until it gets to the Eagles. Oh, wait, in this case, it's the B is when I picked Hairston, he goes, like if you look here, he went 1, 2, 3, 4 picks before, and that tells you where Hairston was on the Lions board, and that's why that pick was a B. So that's how the algorithm works. And, if Anthony wanted to set the board up so that he could do a Jets mock draft against a specific situation, if you are, if you have the 2 hours of your time that we just did to set the board up the way that you want, you'd be able to do that. So And we're doing tomorrow morning, we're doing offensive tackles, right? We're doing what is the floor and the ceiling for like how high will Membu go? How far can he drop? We're going to do the same thing with Josh Simmons and whoever the three podcasters have as the top 10 offensive tackles.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So, Anthony, you want to let everybody know who you are and how they can find you?
Yeah. Anthony Russo. You can find me at Anthony_Russo97. I have my 4-round final mock draft of the year pinned to my page. You can tell me how I ruined your team. And you can catch me tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Talking offensive tackles.
Cool. You can follow the channel at NFL Draft Fanatic. No, I am Fanatic. It is the same on YouTube as it is on X. We have daily draft content. This is our only podcast on Friday. You will see Anthony and Brian with special guest Jake tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. We're going to have a couple podcasts on Sunday. I'm actually guest appearing on a Steelers podcast. And then we're going to come back and do a very similar podcast to this on Sunday night. And my goal is, as we're heading into the last 2 or 3 weeks of mock draft season, is to give fans, let's say, a slightly different board that they're going to be mock drafting against. So I'll be spending most of the weekend setting that up. And then we are actually going to begin summer scouting. We've already done one 2026 podcast. Anthony and Brian are going to be doing another one a week from Saturday. So we've got draft content for this cycle, and we are already prepping to give you draft content for the next cycle. So definitely appreciate all the draft professors. Randall dropping into the chat. Brandon, you're here literally every day. Absolutely love to see you. So thank you very much for stopping by. Elliot Axon, one of my best friends in the entire world. It is awesome to see you checking in. So thank you very much, Elliot. And with that being said, we are going to close this thing down. I hope everybody has a great Friday night, and we will see you on a podcast again tomorrow. So thanks, everybody.